Hello team and welcome back to another Line More cast. This is your map today. It is a 1v1 between Cryptospermium in blue and Hurricane in red. Crypto is going to spawn in the top left of the map. Hurricane likely going to spawn either here to the south of where Crypto is or to the east of where Crypto is in this mountain range by the town. There are some trade routes on the map, but they're a little bit further to the right. We'll see if that comes into play. Crypto's going for 3 factories, which will likely all go tanks, and a town as the pre-constructed building, and a barracks in the back. Blue has 2 energy sources, relatively close. This one in the mountains that is already part of an occupied territory for Blue, and then this one down to the south in the forest. The one in the center is going to end up being a little bit more contested. It's unlikely that Hurricane's going to allow Crypto to build this one. And for Hurricane, matching this town to start off with the pre-constructed money, and then 2 factories going for tanks and a barracks. Unfortunately for Hurricane, I suppose this is the refinery that Hurricane is going to build. If it's a tank opener and heavy tanks from red, they will also need a refinery just like blue. And the big advantage for blue in this situation is having 3 factories going tanks, as opposed to just the 2 for red. And a barracks, which functions as like a nice natural garrison for this town. As units pop out, they can kind of defend this. If Hurricane were to send tanks up here, or commandos, we see that Hurricane is building commandos out of this northern barracks. And so far, neither player will know where the other one is. In the fog of war, we just saw Crypto's vision. But slowly, as the capping infantry for both sides meet in the middle, it'll become apparent where both players sort of started the rough locations. Crypto's got 2 SAMs now, and this 3rd factory is actually building artillery pieces. The SAMs would be useful if Hurricane had opened up an airport. We know that Hurricane did not, and Hurricane also is building a SAM. Same thing, just in case Crypto opened up an airport. It's always nice to have a SAM kicking around. First Commando's done for Hurricane. It will end up scouting this town if it can get by this infantry. Even if it can't get by, the Commando probably has enough vision to actually detect this town. And beside this farm that Hurricane is building goes the first refinery. Crypto's first refinery likely going to be the next building that is constructed once there's 260 money in the bank for blue. And the backmost barracks for Crypto is building only commandos, it looks like. And capping to the south, eco-wise, 415 for blue, 447 for red. And this is the play for the tanks with Hurricane. Hurricane does see that this town exists. So the first 3 tanks for red will head up here to try to destroy it. And this will force Crypto to pull the tanks back. And certainly with the next 3 tanks showing up for Crypto, should be able to defend these tanks. The one problem here for blue is that the refinery is only going down now. So we can see the energy here. Crypto has 15 left from that 25 that you start off with. It will take some time for this refinery to build. It may actually be in the mountain range, which will add a 50% build time to it. And Crypto's vision doesn't see the commando. At this point, there's not enough units around. It'll be interesting to see if Hurricane decides to just attack this town with the commando or keep going and try to attack the refinery. Luckily for Crypto, there are 4 infantry that are kind of in the way of this commando. And I think in general, the play for Hurricane is to let the commando just walk by the town and try to get to the gas. Because Hurricane can definitely see that it's relatively heavy tank play from Crypto. Might have a feeling that it is actually 3 factories. And so Hurricane adds a 3rd factory to match this. Good micro and awareness from Crypto to keep the infantry in the top closer to the refinery, so that this one commando can't just destroy it by themselves. And Hurricane has a depot on the way. Kind of makes sense because Hurricane doesn't have a very natural second refinery to take. So whenever that's the case, if there's going to be heavy energy units, can make a lot of sense to build a depot to start storing some of the energy that the refinery produces. Good pickup from Crypto on that one. Commando, there's another one that is going to try to get onto the refinery. But the four infantry for Blue have decided to just hang out at the refinery and garrison it. So that one Commando can't take on 4 infantry like this. If it was 3 infantry, it's kind of a maybe situation. And then with only 2 infantry, Blue might not be able to see that one Commando. 2 infantry don't really give enough vision. It would depend on if the vision from the refinery would be able to help out so that the red Commando would actually be exposed. Third factory for Hurricane is nearly done. There's an airport on the way. It'll take some time for that to kick in. Crypto is going for a 4th factory. So in the next little bit before the helicopters get out for Hurricane, maybe a little bit of an opportunity for Crypto to keep pushing. Because this many tanks, they can definitely destroy a lot of buildings very quickly. And they would be deadly if they got in the forest by the factories. Blue can't actually see these factories yet because of that stealth bonus. More SAMs on the way for Crypto, who will have 6 in total, so certainly enough to shut down the helicopters that Hurricane is building. But if these 5 tanks can break through for Blue, it might just be enough. They'll be able to destroy a barracks. The good thing for Hurricane here is that the tanks that are just getting out of the factory get into the fight pretty much immediately with this defender's advantage. But we probably expect that after these next 2 SAMs that Crypto will switch from building any SAMs at all and then focus entirely on artillery and tanks. Mostly artillery because there's only 1 refinery for Blue. And with this number of tanks, this is pretty much about as many tanks as 1 refinery can run. Luckily for Hurricane, this 1 Commando gets loose. It might be able to pick up barracks. It certainly gets a great scout of where the factories are. Or rather, with this 1 factory, we can't see the other 3 in the forest, but might have a good idea of that's where it is. First helicopter for Hurricane is nearly done. It's going to be very difficult for Red to get any value with this helicopter because of how many SAMs there are for Blue. And as long as these Blue tanks keep the SAMs safe and don't let the Red tanks jump on them, Crypto pretty much has the anti-air locked down. And there's no other fights really going on the map. There's maybe an opportunity for Hurricane to send the helicopter down to the south to help out these infantry that are trying to cap. Deal with whatever resistance they find. Little bit of a dance with the tanks. Hurricane's going to send at least a few of them around the back and try to go towards this town and barracks again. This Commando gives great spotting for the tanks, so Red knows that there aren't any units here garrisoned. There's no tanks defending. There's no Commandos. Which makes Hurricane want to dive on this. And luckily for Crypto, there's only 3 tanks that are left, and the Blue tanks are in a great position. They've tracked this very well. So unlikely that the Red tanks are going to do anything, but what might be an enormous part of this game is that this Commando for Red and this 2nd Commando for Hurricane are going to be able to destroy this refinery, and as soon as that happens, all of the Blue tanks are going to stop moving. And Hurricane's actually capped this refinery spot down to the south. So Crypto's going to have no choice but to rebuild this refinery if Blue would like to keep using these tanks. But that will mean that Blue will have to send units up to actually clear these Commandos, and that's not that easy. Given that this is a pretty factory-heavy composition from Blue. The infantry from the barracks are now heading over. Blue sees that the refinery is going down, but it is too late to save the building. There's good development in the south for Crypto with this 1 barracks. to deal with all these infantry. But there goes the refinery, so all the tanks are just sitting on the field right now. This gives Hurricane a huge opening to use their tanks to great effect, and they are at the moment taking on all these SAMs. There's enough SAMs for blue that they might actually get one of these tanks if they kept fighting here. And maybe both of the tanks, and that's what's going to happen. So Crypto probably lost one, maybe two SAMs there, I can't count. Which is decent. But two tanks are relatively expensive for Hurricane. Still a very good SAM count for Crypto. But this is the problem. So the two infantry for blue can't see these commandos. The vision for Crypto, definitely not seeing those commandos. There needs to be, well, 3 units in general. 3 infantry would be able to detect all the commandos that are close. But the pace definitely in Hurricane's favor at the moment. If we actually check the eco, 637 for blue, 757 for red, who adds another barracks in the south. Crypto does have 2 barracks down here, so over time blue would get more infantry in the south to start capping. And with the tanks, the helicopters are going to jump in on the SAMs, or red tanks will be able to destroy all the blue SAMs. 1 helicopter goes down. There's still 1 more helicopter, rather 2 more helicopters in the north for Hurricane. And the big deal is that the Commandos sniped that refinery again. Most of the factories have transitioned off of tanks, rather they're not building any tanks at the moment for blue. But a problem is when your opponent has tanks, it's very difficult to make artillery useful in the defense here. It's not like Crypto has a choice. It's because it's a tough spot. You can't build tanks because there's no energy to build the tanks. Artillery doesn't really help, and obviously SAMs just as terrible when fighting against a bunch of tanks like this. And with the 3 blue tanks stranded, pardon me, Hurricane's gonna be able to destroy this town, which will push them even further ahead on eco. SAM's sitting just outside of the range that tanks could actually hit them. Great play by Hurricane, who cleans up that town. And now sends in the tanks to deal with any of the reinforcing blue units. And whether or not blue were to be able to destroy this barracks or both of the barracks in the south, I believe this is now out of reach. There's just too many buildings for red. Certainly they'll have a huge producer advantage once 1 or even 2 of these factories for blue are destroyed, because these tanks will be able to get at least 1 of the buildings. This commando is resting, must be exhausted. Destroyed that refinery and then sprinted away. And this allows Hurricane to actually take this front refinery. And Crypto can see this. It's in vision. This would be a very stressful moment seeing this refinery built in the front, because what it really indicates is that Hurricane feels super confident that they can defend this refinery. Like, big picture, that's the refinery that Hurricane kind of has to take, unless they took the water refinery on the right side of the map. But still, bold play. Well played both. Props to Cryptospurnium for posting this in the match replays channel in the Discord. It's always nice when folks post games that they might win, might lose. Keeps it interesting. I never know what the result is until I watch the game. And I hope you enjoyed the cast. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you have a wonderful night, day, evening, whatever it is. See you around. Peace.